Welcome to the Flooring Podcast with Mike Harris, the show where we cover new construction, restoration, and everything to do with flooring in commercial construction. Now here's your host, Mike Harris.
Yes, welcome to the Flooring Podcast. I'm Mike Harris. We're here today, as usual, at Pod 617 Studios in Westwood, Mass. Thanks to David Yaz, our producer, for all that he does. If you want to own a podcast, visit pod617.com. Today, very happy to have David Ruggieri. David, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me.
David is from Ruggieri Brothers in Rhode Island. David, actually, you are really not our first Rhode Island person, but you really are. John Felker from Ardex, who is an implant.
Imported.
Yeah. So you are a native Rhode Islander? That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So this is our first roadie person. We're branching this podcast beyond Boston. So it's good to see you here. We've had some people from Composer up in Maine. Now we're branching out to Rhode Island. So spending 25 years in Easton, we used to always go to Providence or Newport instead of going to Boston because it was a little closer. Mm-hmm. And really at that 10 or 15 years of my life and family's life, really got to know the beaches of Rhode Island and Newport and really appreciate it. Rhode Island's a great city, great state.
It's a beautiful state.
So Ruggieri's been around since 1947?
1949.
1949. Yeah. That is, how many years?
77.
77 years. That's great lineage. Great lineage. Congratulations.
Obviously, I'm not the one who started 77 years ago, but I'm the third generation.
Third generation. It's the third generation company we've had on the podcast. So it's you're part of the 13 percenters, which is great. It's good to hear. Why don't you talk a little bit about how Ruggieri started, who started it, and go from there?
Yeah. So the company was started from my grandfather and his two brothers, Anthony, Ed, and John Ruggieri. I know they came back from World War II.
Yep.
And they got into a trade, and they got into, I think then it wasn't carpet. They were doing linoleum from mica.
Yep.
And they were working for some guy, and, like any entrepreneur, you do it for so long, you learn something, and then they decided to do it on their own.
Good for them.
So, and they were doing a lot of track homes back then, and, they went from working out of a garage at I think it was my grandfather's house, and then they ended up opening up a showroom in a plaza, and they were doing a lot of residential work, and then from there it grew into commercial work.
Right, so I'm assuming, they started with residential, all the GIs coming back from the war, right?
A lot of track homes back in the 50s and 60s, so we see them a lot of, the term grandma's linoleum. They were the guys putting in grandma's linoleum.
So was there carpet at that time too back then, or?
Very little.
Very little.
I think not till like the 50s and 60s, the carpet really.
Carpet came in to try and, was it probably because of the energy and the trying to keep these places warm, maybe?
Correct.
Yep. And then your dad's generation came in.
Yep. My dad, he started in the business in the early 60s, and he was real into the commercial end of the company as well, and he had cousins from my grandfather's brothers, so there was Frank and there was Paul and Ralph, and and they kept things going.
Yeah, no, that's the lineage kept going, and then after your dad, you and your cousins?
Yep. So I'm kind of the younger one of the family. So right now I have two cousins, Bill and Pete, from John's side, and then it was his son Frank, and then Bill and Pete, and then Ed had Ralph and Paul, and most of them have all retired out. It's just me and my cousin Peter left. Our cousin Bill just retired at the end of this past year.
Okay, so and you are the president and treasurer?
Currently, I'm the president and treasurer of the company.
Good for you. Good for you. And it's basically, I think you said it's yours. Yar and Peter are partners.
Correct.
That's great. That's great to hear. Now, one of the things I loved about the story, as I'm, talking to you about it, is the nicknames from the original 3 owners. Back in the day, Italians, everybody had a nickname, right?
Yeah. So I know my grandfather's nickname was Sharky. I know my Uncle Ed was Quaker, and Bill and Pete's grandfather was Brains. So that made the original Ruggieri brothers.
Those
Sharky, Quaker, and Brains.
That's great. I love that old school Italian. It's like it's great. So you must have a nickname then, right? People have been calling me Ruggs.
Ruggs,
I love
years,
that. Yeah.
But I've also been called the Rug Man.
The Rug Man.
So
Rugs are the Rug Man.
It's ironic. We're in the flooring business. The first 3 letters of our last name is Rug.
That's right, Ruggieri. Yeah.
I could always use a rug like you.
Yes, we could. Yeah. Yes, we could.
And I sell a ton of rugs. So when people ask me why I have this nickname, that's what I explain to them.
Rugs are everywhere in your life. I'm hoping you have rugs all through your house.
Oh, no, because we do more than just rugs.
That's good.
We're full service.
That's good to hear. Talk a little bit about yourself. Growing up, where you went to school, how you got involved. Let's hear a little bit about your history.
Well, like any family business, I could remember as a young age my dad taking me to measure a job or stop in and see a job and this and that. And, so you kind of get brought into that lifestyle. I started when I was able to do something, they threw me working with guys in the trade. By the time I had my license, they would get me a permit for the summer, and I'd work with the guys on jobs. And
I bet your mother was happy with that good little education you were getting on job sites.
Kept me kind of out of trouble. It was fun, but and then I'd do deliveries, I'd work on the truck, so I kind of had a well-rounded experience with the business.
Yeah,
I didn't really get into estimating until when I was in college. I would come home in the summer and work.
Sure.
And my uncle Ed and my dad would take me out to measure or help them measure and figure stuff out.
Right. You weren't just a laborer anymore.
No.
You went to school for accounting.
Yep.
You went to Quinnipiac University.
Yep.
Not too far away, down in Connecticut.
Camden, Connecticut, yes.
And one of the things as we were talking that I really liked about your story and about the Ruggieri story is that when you graduated college, you didn't go right back into the business.
Correct. Like anything, I stayed down in Connecticut because I still had friends down there.
Yep.
And I had gotten a job in public accounting. I was pursuing my CPA. The firm I worked for specialized in construction, contractor, subcon. So I was getting a pretty good education. I enjoyed what I was doing, even though I did do some auditing, which I wasn't a big auditor guy, but I enjoyed dissecting family businesses, understanding GLs and financial statements and bonding and all the things you need in construction and subcontracting. So I stayed down there for about 6 years. I did an internship with the company and then was there. So overall, I spent about 7 years. I became a senior for the firm, and then it was funny because I finished tax season. And
the important things for an accountant.
And my dad had, our company belongs to a co-op called Starnet. So he invited me. They were having their annual meeting in April, right after tax season, down in Cancun, Mexico.
Ooh, that was a tough one to pass.
He invited me to come down.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time that was his trying to turn me into his succession plan.
But good for him.
I had a really good time down in Cancun, Mexico. Let's just say that.
Yeah, no, that's.
I met some great people in the business and so forth.
my granddaughter left for Cancun, Mexico this morning on spring break. She's a senior in college. So I said to her, I said, because I have a condo down in Marco Island, Florida. I said, why don't you go to spring break down in Marco with us? And she goes, do they have foam pool parties down there?
Yeah.
I said, no, they don't, not in Marco. But that was a good idea for your dad. He had a way to hook you, and he brought it in. But
well, now that we go there, I'll just tell a quick story.
Yes, go right ahead.
It's funny you say Marco and Cancun, because when I was in college, I think it was my junior year, I was dating this girl, and she invited me to go to Cancun with all her friends for spring break.
Yep.
And 2 days before we were supposed to go, she ended it with me. So my parents, who vacationed all the time in Marco Island, called me up and say, hey, who cares? Come down and visit us in Marco Island.
Come on.
I flew down to Fort Lauderdale, and they picked me up and
you
spent time in Marco Island.
Really? Your parents used to
they
hang out in Marco?
vacation there all the time, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you spend much time down there?
I've been quite a few, and actually, I have timeshare now down there that my dad's kind of passed on to me because he doesn't want to pay those maintenance fees. But
timeshares are very big down there, especially right along the water.
Yeah, it's right on the beach. It's a great spot.
Yeah, I meet people all the time that are down in a timeshare that they've had for 10, 20, 30 years.
But I was upset about getting dumped, but I had a great time in Marco Island, so I know why you like the place.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a great time. It's shame on her for dumping you like that. It's her loss. All right.
Loss.
Yeah,
that's what my mom told me.
That's right. So talk a little bit about I love the fact that, and I think you had also said that your two cousins didn't go right into the business either. They went out in the workforce. You went out for 7 years. They went out for talk about how long they went out.
Yes.
And what that value you bring back into your company.
So my cousin Bill, who he just recently retired, he was in auto parts business, and he was in management. So I think the company that he worked for had multiple locations, and he managed all the sites and traveled to that. So he had a good education on managing people, but also brought it into our business and helped us grow different divisions and all that kind of stuff. And his brother Peter was in the banking world. So he started out as a manager at Citizens, and even when Citizens, I know, went through their purchasing other branches back in, I think it was the 90s, because I was in college then, he was involved in a lot of that.
Yeah, so. Citizens is from Rhode Island.
They were from Rhode Island.
Yeah, that's right.
And, we got the corporate headquarters there, but I know they're big now, too, in Pennsylvania. I think they do stuff. But, yeah, so I think they had bought a bunch of banks down in Connecticut. I know he was involved in that kind of stuff. And the financial line.
Okay. Being, obviously, working in this industry and knowing families and friends, obviously the flooring industry is a big family. Most of the flooring contractors are family-owned, generation to generation, and some of them make this mistake of, the minute you get out of college, the minute you get out of high school, you come into the business where you don't bring a lot of value with you. You know what I mean? I love the idea of you guys going out in the world. I mean, managing people, accounting, banking. You're bringing that to your company.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
I could say on my end of things, like on the accounting side, the firm I worked for was a great firm for subcontracted. Great partners that taught me a lot, managers. So I was constantly meeting with family-owned subcontractors and being involved in their review or their audit, understanding their WIP schedules, their job costing. I even had a client who was a developer / contractor, and they had their controller embezzled from them for quite some time, and got caught up, and we were brought in, and I got actually thrown into being their part-time, hired out CFO while they were doing all the fraudulent work.
Wow.
Back. So I got a really good education. I really liked it, so I went to Cancun, Mexico. My dad was, he was in his early 60s, and he was wanting to work with me to succession his plan. for the business. And if I didn't do it, he might have then sold out to the family. But you know, I found value in coming home.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, that's great to hear.
a lot of my friends who were down in Connecticut moved back wherever they were. You know, I was coming back visiting friends and stuff. So my heart's in Rhode Island. I'm a Rhode Islander.
Absolutely. Yeah, roadie people love their roadie.
And, you know, family business, you got a certain pride, third generation.
Yep.
There's a lot to it. You know, I wouldn't say, you know, the flooring business isn't for everybody. So it takes a certain person, but it was brought up into it. So you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a sexy business, but it kind of is. You know what I mean? It's a dirty business, but at the end of the day, when your job is done and you turn around and you look at that finished product, it's pretty damn nice.
Pretty cool.
You know, and it's pretty satisfying.
And you know, I'm in a smaller market, Rhode Island,
Yep.
Providence. You know, I could probably point out to every building or
What we did
place
there,
or housing developments or houses that we've done, and you know, I find pride in the work and everything we've accomplished over the years.
No, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. And to be honest with you, I've never heard anything bad about your company.
Thank you.
You know, it's been
We work hard.
it's been positive for the 40 years I spent in the business, and people only had good things to say about you and your company, which is you should be commended for.
Thank you.
Now, why don't you talk a little bit? You grew up in Cranston or Warwick?
No, Warwick.
Warwick.
Yeah, so the businesses are in Cranston.
That's okay. Yeah.
You know, but I grew up in Warwick. You know, I went to, we lived out in a part of Warwick called Potawatomi, which is sort of a peninsula, which is kind of neat. Growing up there, you know, I went to public school though. I went to Tollgate High School, which ironically, you know, going through these schools, getting rebuilt. They're building a new Tollgate High School that will be on.
You guys got to work?
We got to work. So
congratulations.
Kind of neat to be
You'll be going home
to work at the school that I went to. But yeah, you know, good education, good family. You know, my parents. You know, my dad worked hard, but he gave us,
every opportunity.
Good opportunities, and we lived a good life.
Yep. And you're married now and have a
so I didn't.
kids?
My wife and I lived in Warwick when we first were together and got married, but then we ended up leaving the town, and we're down in North Kingstown now, which is a little south, so we're more on the coastline, and you know, it's another great community, great place to raise a family. And we got two twin boys that are 11, Jake and Jackson, and
I bet they keep you busy, huh?
they keep me very busy.
Yeah, and were they involved in?
They're pretty much in a lot of sports. So,
Yeah.
you know, we just finished basketball season. Yesterday we were at Dick's Sporting Goods because it's the last day to get 20% off. And next weekend they have majors tryouts. So
for baseball.
They're all excited about baseball. And then one of my sons plays tackle football for the North Kingston Jags, and the other one does flag football. So I'll be busy.
You'll be busy
through
for
the end of the year
for a long time. That's
but it's good, and they bring me a lot of joy, and they're good kids.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's good to hear. Now at Ruggieri, you're first at Quinnipiac. Not only did you take accounting, you took computer science.
Yeah,
and obviously today's day and age, computers are huge part of your business. You're the president and
treasurer
of your company. So you're the money man, huh?
I deal with the money a lot.
Oh, so as far as the Comp at One group, you guys do commercial and you do residential.
Yeah, so we do have a separate company than the commercial that's does retail. We're probably the largest independent retailer in the state of Rhode Island.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
One store?
One store.
Wow.
Cranston.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And you guys also install?
We do the installations too.
So as far as your company goes, commercial, residential, what's your percentages?
Residential, obviously, it's a smaller ticket item than a commercial job.
Yeah.
So, but overall, 25% of our revenues comes from residential and 75 is about commercial.
Wow. And how many employees does Ruggieri have?
Well, between the guys in the office and operations, between the two different entities, we probably run about 30 people.
About 30 people.
And then, in the field, we're running anywhere from 50 to 70.
Wow. So you have up to 100 people in any given day.
Correct.
It's a nice payroll.
Big payroll.
And you're writing the checks.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
Good for you. Hopefully it's worthwhile. It's working out. It seems to be.
Yeah,
like I said.
it's ups and downs,
Yep.
It's the business, but we seem to be, doing all right.
And, the Copper One group, you just got, should I say, an award for the Copper One group?
We just came back from convention, and they have a group inside CCA Global Copper One called the Diamond Club, and we got brought in the Diamond Club this year, which
Wow.
is pretty neat. So that means we're one of the top 50
in the country?
of that group of Copper One
of
of the
Copper One,
members, which
correct.
I don't.
Yep.
There's like
Yep.
over 100 something members. So,
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to it. They're having a special meeting for us, and a lot of like brainstorming best practices and talking about industry stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. So that's in April.
That's great. Congratulations. Now, you also mentioned Starnet.
Yep.
You guys are a member of Starnet, which
Starnet.
is more of the commercial side. Why don't you
Correct.
talk a little bit about Starnet?
Yeah. So back in 1994, we joined Starnet, and it was mostly because back then you had DuPonts and you had Interfaces buying out dealers,
I remember.
manufacturers. Sure,
I remember
They were
that,
all-
yeah.
So, my family business was more secondary market, being in Providence. They probably weren't targeted like some
Correct.
of the Boston guys were.
Yep.
So they had to align themselves somehow. So Starnet approached them, and we had joined that. And, it's a great group. Another one that I've watched grow. I think when I first started going to meetings, we might have had like 70 members, and now we're up over 200 and 400 locations and all that kind of stuff. But, I really enjoy, going to the meetings, learning from other people just like us in the industry
Sure.
and how they handle things and what they do. And I've
Yeah,
met
the-
some really good friends, and,
Networking must be great.
it's very good.
I know Ardex is a member of
Yes.
Starnet, and when they had a meeting in Boston, I was able to go to it, and it does seem like it's a great group that learns a lot from each other.
It is.
And whenever there's a situation that you might come up with in Providence, well, that might have happened in Baltimore, or that might
Correct.
have happened in Philadelphia.
And what's nice is I can pick up a phone and talk to somebody, and I'm not calling my fellow competition. And
Correct.
this year, I'm calling the guy in California or the
Right.
guy in Chicago or this and that. So it's a real good group. And, even in that organization, so when I started going to the meetings, I was brought in to be on the meetings committee. My dad's like, you got to join a committee. So I joined meetings committee. I think it was just they were looking for people. And now I'm the chairman of that committee,
There you go. Thank you, Dad.
which I've been, again, it's probably been 20 years I've been on it. And,
That's great.
with that, so now I have a seat at the advisory board, which, same thing. We have discussions. We meet with the actual board of Starnet, talk about ideas, things they're going to be doing. We meet with the vendors.
Yeah.
Been involved in a lot of roundtable discussions with Ardex, and so it's just been a good experience. And I think doing all this stuff, even though it's volunteer, and it's definitely, I feel, helped me with my career and
Absolutely.
understanding the business.
Absolutely. Just takes up a lot of your time. But it's
Takes
like
up
you-
some time,
Yeah. And you're also involved with NFCA.
Yes, I am.
Not only are you involved, you're the president.
I'm the president of NFCA right now.
And you told me the second time you've
This
been
is
president.
my second time as president.
You must have did well the first time.
I guess so.
Yeah. We're going to call you Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He came back.
He came back. I had kind of like the same term as him. Yeah, because I was 17 to 19. I was the president, and then last year. So I'm just finishing up. I think my presidency's over in June. And
why don't you talk about NFCA? What exactly is NFCA?
Yeah, so NFCA is the Northeast Floor Cover Association, and it basically is most of the contractors in New England who are signatory to the Carpenters Floor Covers Union, Local 2168, and our biggest thing that we do is we're the bargaining agreement. We sit and represent all the contractor members before we sign the contract.
Yep.
We also, the idea of the association is for us to educate everybody, the design community, the architects, end users about the install program, and the good things about the flooring industry.
Yeah.
So those are what we do, and we board meetings once a month, and we have a big event that we're going to be having.
Yep.
With all the associate members. So you have your contractor members, and then we have a whole bunch of associates. Like Ardex was one of them.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of the vendors are. So.
Okay, so let's back up here. So you're president and treasurer of Ruggieri Brothers.
Yep.
You're on at Starnet. You're on a special board committee, running the committee, and you're president of NFCA.
Yep.
And you're in the Diamond Club of Carpet One.
Yes.
You have two boys that are 11.
Yeah.
You got a wife.
Yes.
You're a busy man.
Very busy.
That's good. It's good to be busy.
It is good to be busy.
Well, I've always learned in business that if you want to get something done, give it to somebody who's busy, because the person that sits at their table, at their desk, and just pushes paper around and complains about how busy they are gets nothing done.
Yeah.
You're the type of guy that gets shit done.
I feel I get stuff done. I won't say I do have a to-do list that's pretty long right now, but it's good. I get it done.
Yeah. So that's what I've heard about you, David. You get it done, which is great, And I also love you guys got a new tagline at Ruggieri, and we are just getting started.
Yeah, so that's on our retail side with Carpet One, we we do commercials. We do a lot of co-op advertising with our vendors. So our marketing company that we use was, because it's kind of started when we celebrated 75 years of business, trying to push, we're still a family-owned business. You're not going to the big box store. You're not going Empire or one of these other residential companies. And, she thought it was a great idea to put the twin boys on TV, and in the commercials, you'll hear them go, "We're just getting started." So I think it's cool. It's, a lot of people have been, when they see the kids and talk about it. But
they're celebs now, huh? Down in Providence.
And, I hope that they could carry on the business someday, be the fourth generation and carry it on. But we got a long way to go for that. So.
You do. At 11, you have a long way to go. But, fourth generation, I think if that happens, they'd be part of the 4%ers.
4%. So
which, that's huge.
Yeah.
Keep that Ruggieri name going.
I have to teach them well.
Well, you're going to have to bring them to Cancun like your dad did.
Yeah. Well, and again, like yesterday I had to get to the office to do a few things. So, so of course
they're along with you.
They're along with me. Yeah. And, I had them cleaning something in the sample closet or this or that. So
always
I
keep
look
busy.
forward to the day they can sweep floors and learn the trade.
Just like you did.
Just like I did.
Absolutely. All right, it's getting to the time of the thing where we talk about, we have Wednesday's question. This is a part of our little podcast we started in the last one where we, try to bring a little more content into our podcast. So Wednesday's question is, what do you see as the biggest change in the industry over the last 25 years?
Yeah, well, technology has been a huge change. It's, you know, when I first came into the business, we were still doing, my family was still doing hand takeoffs.
Yeah.
And then we went to the digitizer table, and now, you know, everything's on screen. So crazy, the estimating. When we used to sell a lot of 26-ounce nylon carpet and VCT.
Yeah, that was it.
I can't tell you last time I sold 26-ounce nylon carpet and VCT together. It's all LVT and carpet tile, and then you get all this specialty stuff with
ceramics is getting bigger all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So all those things have all changed in my 23, 24 years, I guess, doing this now.
Yeah.
You know, and just trying to stay up with it all. Like, you know, every time you turn around, someone's got a new software or a new product to try or this and that.
Well, I would think AI is probably becoming part of your business too.
It is. You know, I've sat in a lot of conferences about AI and things they have going. I've used it for estimating. I think it's really neat, but we haven't implemented any of it yet. You know, again, if I have to write a letter or need something, I'll use the AI app, but I am looking forward to seeing what that is. But at the end of the day, even though the business has changed over the years, you're still down to, you know, making sure the product looks good, is installed properly,
Right.
and is done right.
Now, not only are you a big Pats fan, but you do a lot of work at Gillette. Correct? Yeah. You're a season ticket holder.
Yep. I've been a season ticket holder since 2003, so I've seen a lot of good football.
I think
Patriot football.
you're the third or fourth person from I've had on the podcast that's season ticket holder. So, you know, we're going to talk to the Crafts. The flooring business has been very good to them. You know.
Yeah. You know.
And you're doing work right now there.
Yeah. I got a referral to them from an interiors contract that Jonathan and the family knew and went down there with work, and you know, I've definitely done a good amount of work over the years on that property in Foxborough, other properties, other investments, but we're just about wrapping up. It's the Patriots training facility that Suffolk is the contractor, and I walked it on Friday. We're pretty much punching things and
nice. How's it look?
Add-ons. It's pretty neat. It's going to be a nice facility for the players, and I know it's a nice upgrade for them to have their own space that's not in the stadium.
Yeah, no, they're not afraid to spend money down there, and that's which is a good thing, you know.
No. But they spend it wisely.
They spend it wisely. That's right. Now, and you've been to a few Super Bowls.
A few Super Bowls. So, you know, season ticket since 2003. So I just went to my 8th Super Bowl. The only one I missed was the Seattle when my kids were born that year. But, it was disappointing.
It was disappointing, but, you know, it was surprising that they were there.
I didn't think I'd be in San Francisco in February.
Yeah, exactly right.
So that was a bonus. We had a good time, needless to say, but it wasn't the end result we wanted, but I think we're going to be back there. I
think so too. I think they got a good group coming up, and if they can keep stuff together, like it's very difficult to do in the NFL, but yeah, they got a good core with the quarterback and coach, you know, which is what we had before with Tommy and Bill, you know. But now you're you're batting 500. You're 4 for 4. Four wins out of 8 games.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to get back on that winning way.
2 giant losses. A Philly loss and now a Seattle loss. So,
yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, I know. I love the Pats too. It's just this time of year is Sundays are so boring, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, things are football's gone and it's just doesn't seem to work out that well, you know. Well, also too, as we start to wind down this little podcast, we got my my other little area. We talk about my 3 questions. All right, you ready?
Sure.
What's your favorite ice cream?
So my favorite ice cream, which you're gonna say, wow, old school, but there's a ice cream shop in Narragansett, Rhode Island called Brickley's. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Actually, I've been. We summered in Narragansett like 4 years in a row, but I've probably eaten there.
Okay, so they make the best rum raisin.
Rum raisin.
Yeah. That's my go-to.
Dave, I think that's our first rum raisin, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to check the statistics, but I believe you're right, Mike. First ever
Everyone
rum
sees
raisin.
me order rum raisin, and they like look at me funny. They're like, "That's what my grandfather used to have."
Rum raisins.
You know?
Check the stats. Now, I'm also a big fan of Federal Hill.
Yep.
What's your favorite restaurant in Federal Hill?
There's a lot of good ones, you
Yes,
know.
there are.
I think if I'm just going like after a PC game or going quick, you know, and hang out, but I love their brajol. I love their soup, the pastine soup, Angelo's.
Angelo's, okay.
Yeah. But if you're gonna go fancier, you know, date night or meet a couple friends or whatever, Camille's.
Camille's, they've been there forever, right?
Yeah.
Mine is Andino's.
Andino's is a good one too.
You know?
Yeah.
And the problem is, and one of the reasons I like Andino's is because they give you more food.
Yeah.
You know, and that's terrible for me, but, you know.
Yeah, well, you got leftovers for the next day.
Well, that's the problem. I don't, you know. And what is your favorite vacation destination? I know when we chatted, you've got a pretty good history of vacation.
Yeah, you know, I've been very
I love.
fortunate
Yeah.
in my life that my parents like to travel, so they took me to all our places. And, you know, my wife and I have traveled quite a bit over our years. You know, obviously I love Caribbean destinations, things like that. But I recently just came back from Rome, which I thought was a great place. The food.
Did you hang out with the Pope?
I went and I didn't see the Pope, but I did walk the Vatican and all that. That was amazing.
I'm going to say, that must have been awesome.
But also the best trip I probably ever been on was through the Mediterranean Sea, and we went on a cruise, my wife and I, a while ago now, like 15 years ago. But it was pretty neat to go to we started in the Greek islands, went to some Italian islands, and then ended in Istanbul, Turkey.
Wow.
So that was an experience.
How was Istanbul?
It was interesting.
Yeah.
That's for sure. You know, they had a crazy outdoor bazaar. You know, the lot of what is it? Where they pray, you hear in the
Mosque.
Mosque.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Mosque, yeah.
A lot of mosques, which was interesting, but I wouldn't say I'd go there, but it was not, you know, we stopped there. That was our last destination on the cruise ship, and then we flew out of there. So
just different. It's nice to go to places that are different.
I think we went there, and we sat through a custom area rug.
Really?
Yeah. Thing. It was on a trip with Carpet One, so
okay.
You know, so it did have a little carpet theme to it. So
and a carpet theme to it, yeah. Yeah. Did you make sure you let everybody know your nickname?
No.
No. Well, you know, before I heard that your nickname was Rug, I came up with a nickname for you. I loved The Accountant.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, because there's that movie with Ben Affleck, The Accountant. And I said, I wonder if Dave's got a nickname like his grandfather does in that group.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. I just want to let you know that I've heard nothing but positive things about you in my career.
Thank you.
And your company. And what I've learned in my years in business is people like to deal with good people, and you're one of those good people.
Yes.
You're fair, you're honest, you're upfront, you tell people what you want and what you're going to do, and you do it. It's a simple formula, but doesn't happen all the time. And even the GCs, which are, sometimes very difficult, tough people to deal with, they feel that you're, a very fair guy and like to deal with you. And
that's good to hear.
Big part of your business of why Ruggieri Brothers is continuing to rock and roll.
As my family, third generation, I tell you, we work for a lot of the same contractors we've worked for 50, 60 years.
That says an awful lot for you, of your company and of you. And, good luck with the family, and I hope you make that fourth generation. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave, could you let our listeners know where they can find out more about your company?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can visit our website, www.ruggeribros.com.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dave, for another great edition of the Flooring Podcast. It comes out twice a month, so check back on this feed in 2 weeks for our next visit with Mike and a guest. You can find the podcast on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, really wherever you find your pods. Thanks again for listening to the Flooring Podcast.